there, science heads, and welcome back to Science 2.0. Today's episode is yet another Beetles conspiracy. It's called Chemistry Every Day, and it's an album from alternate universe where the Beatles never broke up. It's pretty wild, because these days it's impossible to just remix Beatles songs into new songs. So this guy says he went to an alternate universe and met a guy named Phil, and all the ketchup in this world is purple. So that's how you know it's a legitimate story, because the author mentions that all the ketchup in this world is purple. I don't believe that the blog post with the email address that gives no response is just a marketing ploy for a remix album. That's not how things work. This man legitimately transcended into another dimension where the ketchup is purple and Goodnight Vienna was never made. It's just a very, interesting story, and I praise the guy who made the thing. He calls himself Clint Richards. I praise the fella for coming out with his story, and thank gosh he brought back an artifact from that other dimension that's not accessible to anyone except him. A remix tape called Every Day Things Are Getting Closer by the Beatles, except it's an alternate universe version of the Beatles where they never broke up. And so instead of Paul McCartney's band Wings and Ringo Starr's album Goodnight Vienna or Santa Croza Speedway or Double Fantasia Bond, it's now all of them haven't broke up, and there's even an album cover with little pencil sketches of the Beatles that could only be drawn, by the Beatles. No one else can draw the Beatles. It's legitimate proof that this guy went to another dimension where there's no such thing as a long goodbye. I get by with a little help from my friends. We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. So this is a very interesting internet phenomenon, and you can even go and listen to all the Beatles songs that totally aren't just post-breakup Beatles songs that have been remixed. I know that the Beatles are very profitable, so lots of people want to keep milking that cash cow forever. I don't know how this guy makes money off Chemistry Every Day, but it's from an alternate universe, so he can do whatever the heck he wants with it. 'Cause it's not by our Beatles, it's by their Beatles. I think the Beatles are a neat band, and I'm proud that there are so many conspiracy theorems about them. I feel that they deserve more respect than they get, So anyway, this has been about the Beatles and their album Everyday Chemistry, which you can hear it on YouTube, and it's very, very interesting to know that somewhere out there the Beatles haven't broke up, and John Lennon might still have been shot, and George Harrison might still have died from drug overdose, but at least they never broke up and put out an album called Every Day Things Are Getting Closer. Some people call me the Space Cowboy, some call me the Gangster of Love, some people call me Maurice, because I speak with the pompatus of love. So this has been Science 2.0 Science Heads. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and believe in the truth which is out there and won't stop. Good night. So anywho, the musical story of Everyday Chemistry, the Beatles album that doesn't exist in our dimension, is very obscure. I bet you've never heard it before, what with how information is readily accessible throughout the internet. It's not as if you can hear the same thing over and over again until it becomes boring and not cool anymore. I suggest you go to thebeatlesneverbroakeup.com and try mailing this guy who claims that he's gone to another dimension. I tried and he still hasn't responded, either because it's fake or because he's just really busy with whatever else he's doing, and doesn't have the time to tell the world about his extra-dimensional experience. I don't think Everyday Chemistry is just a remix album where he hashes together songs that, the Beatles made after they broke up, and his excuse is that the Beatles just decided to make the same songs, just mashed together, because they hadn't broken up, but they made the same songs and just mashed them up together. That seems really likely. What with the butterfly effect and chaos and everything, everything will turn out the same, even if something's completely different. So overall, I would definitely suggest listening to this album that's totally real and from another dimension. It's amazing. You can hear Mr. Gator's Swamp Jamboree, which is a song that I'm sure the Beatles would make if they hadn't broke up. They'd be making Mr. Gator's Swamp Jamboree. Overall, a very interesting and immersive story, and I'm glad that somehow you can take artifacts from one universe and just take them willy-nilly into another, and it doesn't matter. He has a mixtape of the Beatles that never broke up, and he also says that in this other universe, the Beatles never breaking up is the only thing that's different, because them staying together doesn't influence anything else. Otherwise, the present's exactly the same. I guess Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr just performed together. I'm glad that the Beatles are still being exploited and popularized like this over 50 years after they've broken up, and it's amazing. It does my heart good to see so much, to see 4 British people with hair to be so idolized by everyone. And for conspiracy theories such as this one, very interesting to get discussed again and again and again, and for the misinformation to keep being spread. This isn't a remix album. This guy went to another dimension, and he just happened to bring back a mixtape with him that coincidentally sounds just like the Beatles if they hadn't broken up. Please don't spoil this dream for me. I need to know that there's some universe out there where they didn't break up and they kept making music and they kept making money. Just more and more money. And they didn't give up after 9 years. I could just listen to the Kinks. They stayed together for 40 years. Or I could listen to the Rolling Stones, who are a band even today. But who cares about the Kinks or the Rolling Stones? I only care about the Beatles, and that's why this conspiracy theory made me very happy, because now I can listen to them Beatles, even though them Beatles have broken up, and and so please don't tell me this is fake. I need it. I need it to be real, because the Beatles are the top dogs with their hit songs. Their hit songs Panty Lane and Come Corroborate. So this has been Science 2.0. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, everything, Bye.